You didn't miss the red flags. You saw them, you felt them, and then you explained them away. Because the biggest danger in a lot of relationships isn't the red flag itself. It's what your mind starts doing after you see it. That's the psychology of ignoring red flags. The part where your brain turns a warning into a story that lets you stay. He didn't mean it. I should have said it better. If I'm more patient, it'll stop. And suddenly, the red flag isn't a signal anymore. It's a negotiation. Here's the core. Ignoring red flags is rarely about love. It's about fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of being wrong. Fear of starting over. Fear that you'll never find this kind of connection again. So you don't leave. You don't even fully confront it. You start managing it. You start shrinking your needs. You start training yourself to accept less, while calling it understanding. That's why people stay in situations that slowly break them. Not because they're weak, because the relationship becomes a system. Hope, anxiety, relief, repeat. And every time it gets good again, your brain treats it like proof that you should keep trying. If you've ever wondered how smart people end up stuck, this is the mechanism. And once you see it clearly, it's hard to unsee. A red flag is not the same as a flaw or a single bad moment. More objectively, a red flag is a pattern of behavior that predicts future harm or instability because it reveals how someone handles boundaries, honesty, conflict, and responsibility. The key isn't, did something go wrong once? The key is, what does this person do when something goes wrong? For example, it's not just that they got angry one time. It's whether anger becomes intimidation, insults, or punishment. It's not just that they're busy. It's a consistent habit of disappearing, withholding, or avoiding accountability. It's not just that they feel jealous. It's whether jealousy turns into control, monitoring, guilt, isolation, or loyalty tests. And it's not just that they apologized. It's whether anything actually changes after the apology. Red flags are harder to identify early because they often show up next to positive signals like chemistry, attention, and big promises. And because many warning signs are ambiguous at first, your mind has room to interpret them as stress or misunderstanding. That ambiguity is exactly what makes a pattern easy to downgrade, until it repeats often enough to become your new normal. When you notice a red flag, your brain immediately tries to answer one question: what does this mean for me? And if you're emotionally attached, the brain often leans toward the meaning that creates the least pain in the moment, because your nervous system is always trying to keep you stable. Here's why. The brain is constantly reducing uncertainty and trying to keep you regulated. A red flag creates threat and conflict at the same time. You want closeness, but you also feel danger. That inner clash is uncomfortable, so your nervous system pushes for a quick solution, something that lowers anxiety right now. And the fastest relief is often not leave, but explain. That's where the mental filters kick in. With confirmation bias, your attention starts scanning for evidence that supports the safest story. They're good, it's fine, this will work. So one warm apology can feel bigger than 5 cold moments. With optimism bias, your brain leans into the future as a comfort drug. It'll get better, they'll change, we're just going through a phase. And with cognitive dissonance, the brain tries to remove the pain of 2 truths, I love them and they hurt me, by bending one of them. Usually it bends the red flag. This is the part people don't realize. The brain doesn't only distort facts, it also changes what you pay attention to. You start minimizing tone, dismissing your body signals, and focusing on potential instead of pattern. The story becomes a regulation tool. It keeps you calm enough to stay. So ignoring red flags isn't only a decision. It's a brain strategy for lowering distress, one that can feel like being reasonable, even while the warning signs keep stacking up. Red flags don't land the same for everyone, because people don't enter relationships with a blank nervous system. A lot of what you tolerate or explain away, comes from what your brain learned about love in childhood, not what you were told, what you repeatedly experienced. If you grew up around unpredictability, moods that changed fast, love that felt conditional, conflict that never got repaired, your brain may have learned to stay alert and manage people. Then, as an adult, certain red flags don't instantly register as leave. They register as figure it out. Be careful. Don't set them off. That's a childhood skill showing up in a grown-up relationship. This is where attachment patterns come in. With anxious attachment, red flags often trigger abandonment fear. Your mind starts scanning for distance, and you may respond by over-explaining, over-giving, or tolerating things just to keep closeness. Relief becomes the reward. When they're warm again, your body calms, and that calm can feel like proof the relationship is working. With avoidant attachment, the protection can look like minimizing. You downplay needs, label emotional distance as normal, and try not to depend on anyone. Red flags get reframed as no big deal, even when you're quietly shutting down. And underneath both patterns is a simple idea. Familiar can feel like fate. If you had to earn love, chase love, or survive love, then calm, consistent love might feel boring, while chaos feels meaningful. Your brain isn't choosing pain. It's recognizing a map it learned early and following it automatically. Even when red flags get clearer, leaving often gets harder. Not because the warning signs disappear, but because your investment grows, and the brain treats that investment like something to protect. This is where sunk cost kicks in. You've spent time, energy, money, emotional labor. You've had the talks, the tears, the "we'll do better" promises, and your mind starts thinking, if I leave now, what was all that for? That thought doesn't just feel sad, it feels like failure. So you stay longer to try to make the past feel justified. Then there's identity. Over time, relationships become part of how you see yourself. I'm a loyal person. I'm the one who doesn't give up. We're the couple who made it through. Those labels can trap you because leaving feels like betraying your own story, not just ending the relationship. And finally, there's the fear of starting over, emotionally and practically. The brain hates uncertainty, so even a painful known can feel safer than an unknown future. That's why people can stay in dynamics they wouldn't choose on day one. The longer you're in it, the more the mind focuses on what you'd lose by leaving, instead of what you're losing by staying. Some of the strongest stuck relationships aren't stuck because they're always bad. They're stuck because they're unpredictable. The red flags come with rewards, and that creates one of the most powerful learning patterns in the human brain: intermittent reinforcement. This is the same basic mechanism that makes people keep pulling a slot machine lever. When rewards are inconsistent, your brain pays more attention, not less. It becomes hyper-focused on figuring out how to get the good moment back. So if a relationship cycles between cold and warm, withdrawal and affection, criticism and praise, your nervous system starts chasing relief. That's where trauma bonding can form. Not bonding because of trauma, but bonding through a cycle of distress and repair. The bad moments create anxiety, self-doubt, and urgency. Then the good moment arrives: an apology, affection, a perfect day. And your brain gets a hit of relief. That relief can feel like love because it's intense, but it's often your body coming down from stress. Over time, the mind starts adapting in a dangerous way. It treats pain as the price of closeness. You begin tracking their mood, anticipating triggers, editing yourself to avoid conflict, and when they finally give you warmth again, it feels like you did it right. This is why people say, but when it's good, it's so good. In an intermittent system, the good doesn't cancel the bad. It trains you to tolerate the bad to earn the good. And the red flags don't stop. They just get wrapped in enough sweetness to keep you hoping. If you're worried you're minimizing red flags, don't start by trying to think harder. Start by switching what you measure. Feelings can swing day to day, but patterns don't. One simple tool is the pattern test. Ask, is this a one-time mistake or a repeating system? A mistake comes with ownership and change. A system comes with excuses and repetition. Another tool is to track your body. Not in a dramatic way, just honestly. Do you feel more calm over time, or more tense, watchful, and careful? Love can be exciting, but it shouldn't make you live on alert. Then use 3 fast reality check questions. First, if my best friend told me this exact story, what would I call it? Second, after I bring up a concern, do I feel clearer, or do I feel confused and guilty? Third, am I becoming more myself in this relationship, or am I shrinking to keep it stable? And here's the practical move. Slow everything down. Less reacting, more observing. Write down what happens after boundaries, after conflict, after apologies. Not to be dramatic, but to stop your mind from editing the past. Clarity grows when you stop negotiating with patterns. Ignoring red flags usually isn't about intelligence. It's about a brain that's trying to stay attached, stay regulated, and keep hope alive. But once you can name the pattern, minimizing, rationalizing, chasing relief, you get your power back. Because red flags don't need a perfect case. They need a clear boundary. And the psychology of ignoring red flags ends here. You don't have to wait for proof. You can choose peace.